In this video, you're going to learn step by step how to make a notepad right from home. You can customize it to any size that you want and add however many pages you like. This tutorial is super beginner friendly. Anyone with a printer and some paper and a couple other supplies that you can probably find around your home can do this. And just in case you are missing some supplies, I have everything that I'm using in this video linked in my Amazon favorites, and you can find that in the description of this video. And here is an overview for all the things that you're going to be needing. First things first is obviously a printer. The printer I'll be using in this video is an Epson EcoTink 15000. This printer is pretty expensive. It's about $700. However, there are way more affordable printers that do the same exact job. This printer is used for different things besides stationery, but there are a lot more affordable options like the EcoTink 2850 that can be used directly for stationery, and that printer runs you about $200. But don't worry, if you already have a printer, it will most likely work for this as well. The key here is the type of paper that you're using. This is the paper I'm using. It is a 28-pound paper and it is extremely good quality. I highly recommend you use a good quality paper such as this one, especially for business purposes. If you aren't planning to sell these notepads, you can definitely use a lesser quality paper, but 28-pound paper is really good quality if you're planning to sell these. You'll also be needing some Mod Podge and some binder clips, and a brush to apply the Mod Podge. You'll need something to cut your notebooks with. If you plan on cutting them by hand, you'll need a paper and a blade, or you can use a paper cutting machine like I will be using in this video. That is all your materials, and again, if you're interested in the same exact ones that I'm using in this video, they will be linked in the Amazon must-haves, and you can find that in the description. Now let's get started. The first thing I'm going to be teaching you guys is how to set up your file for your notepad. Now, I just want to say that I'm not going to be doing a step-by-step tutorial on how to design the actual notepad, the artwork, if that makes sense. I will be making a separate video for that, but I will be explaining some of the sizing, the type of file that you need, and some really important printer settings. So let's just get started here. For this video, I'm going to be using Canva, but to design the artwork for the actual notepad, I will be using a different software, which I'll explain later in that video. So I'm going to be showing you two different ways that you can get your file ready for printing. The first way is to create a canvas with your desired size of your notepad. The one I'm making in this video is 5 by 8 inches. But you can put any size that you want here. I created the art for my notepad somewhere else, so that is why I'm not going to be designing it in this video, but if you don't have a design for your notepad, you can go ahead and create one now. Or if you used an outside app like I did, I'm going to be uploading my own personal artwork. I've gone ahead and uploaded my file and I fit it to the page. Please don't mind the watermark, I just had to put it to protect my artwork from getting stolen. People love to steal. But once you've got your artwork ready, go ahead and download this as a PNG. Now you're going to want to create another canvas that's 11 inches wide by 8.5 inches tall. And then go ahead and drag in your PNG that we just created. And next, I'm going to resize it to 5 by 8 inches. And depending on the size that you're going for, fit as many as you can on the page here. For 5 by 8, I'll be able to fit 2 of them on here. All I did was copy and paste, and you can see here that there's these purple lines. Those are guides, and you can see that they're creating a cross. That means it's centered in the middle of the sheet. And that's exactly what you want, so you get nice even cuts. Make sure that those guides are on and you're paying attention to them and they're nice and even. This next step is not necessary unless you have a very light color background like I do, and you can see that it almost blends in with the white background. And so if I don't do this step, I have a very hard time finding where I'm supposed to cut because that light pink almost looks like white. So I'm just going to be creating a super thin border around my artwork so I can know where to cut. And again, this step is not necessary unless you have light colors like I do. So I'm going to zoom in here so you can see the dividing line that's going to separate these two different pages. It is very, very thin. It's almost non-existent and it's very hard to see, especially if you have a light color background like this. It's going to be very difficult to eyeball this when you're cutting, so I'm going to be adding another little guide here to help me out. Honestly, this might be necessary for any solid color, but if you have a pattern that splits off the page and doesn't line up perfectly, this won't be an issue for you. I've just added a basic line to the canvas here, and I'm just changing the stroke thickness. And all I'm going to do is line this up in the center that divides the two different pages. And I'm also going to repeat this process on the top. Our file is now ready to export. I'm going to head over to the top right corner, put share, and this is a very important step, so please pay attention. These two steps are essential for getting the best quality possible. I'm going to change the file type from PNG to PDF print, and then I'm going to go ahead and change the color profile from RGB to CMYK. Now our file is ready to download. I've opened up the print dialog and there's some important steps that we need to do here. These settings may look different to you depending on what printer you're using. Again, I'm using an Epson EcoTink 15000. These settings should apply to all Epson printers. I have preset settings in place for this, so I just wanted to show you an overview of what you're looking for. You can also take a screenshot of these settings here. But let me walk you through what you need to change. You will have to do this step every single time, even if you do have presets, and that is to scale it to 100%. Next, you're going to hit media and quality and select whichever tray you're going to feed it from. Then you're going to select the media type, and I'm just selecting plain paper. And again, you can save these settings as a preset so you don't have to do this every single time. And then just enter the amount of copies that you want. I'm going to be making 2 different notepads that each have 50 pages. And now we're ready to print. Really quickly, I just wanted to show you the second way you can do this, and that is by simply adding an element of the size that you want your notepad to be already on the 8.5 by 11 page instead of just entering the size of the notepad and creating a different canvas, if that makes sense. And what you would do is design it on there, group everything together, and copy and paste, and you already have your 2 pages on the sheet. Printing time is going to vary depending on what printer you have, how many pages you're printing, all that good stuff. Just to give you an example, these 50 pages were done in about 48 minutes, give or take. So that's 48 minutes of printing for 2 notepads, so it does take a good amount of time. All 50 pages just finished printing, and now we're gonna go ahead and start cutting. I'm going to take a piece of chipboard, and again, all the materials that I'm using in this video will be linked in my Amazon favorites under the category stationery, so you can find everything that I'm using in this video on that category. So I'm gonna be using this piece of chipboard here. You don't have to do this, I just wanna give mine a backing so I can stamp it on the back. And also just to give it a little bit extra structure. You don't have to do this though, it's totally optional, but I'm going to be adding it to my papers here. It is 8.5 by 11 as well, so it fits perfectly. Also, before we get started, I just quickly want to talk about this cutter here. This is not necessary. I just want to say that first. This is not necessary, especially if you're not doing this for business purposes. If you just want to create notepads for you and yourself and maybe just make a couple, this is absolutely not necessary. But only purchase this if you're going to be needing to make these in bulk. This machine is like a high grade cutting machine. It was about $200 give or take from Amazon. And I quickly want to touch on it just because I did try to cut these by hand, and that totally works too. I just want to put that out there. If you want to cut these by hand, it totally works. Maybe you are doing this for a business and you just don't have the funds yet to, you know, kind of invest in a machine like this. That's totally fine. You can cut them by hand. It will take longer. It will give you a little bit more headaches. It is just a little bit more inconvenient, but it is possible. I tried to do it by hand. I did do it. I don't have the patience for it. And even though I don't know quite yet how these notepads are going to do, just because this is my first launch with them, I know for me personally, I'm going to want to keep making them. That's why I decided to invest in this machine. So that's, I just wanted to throw that out there. If you don't have the budget, it's totally okay. You can cut them by hand. With a really sharp blade and just a ruler will work. And yeah, again, this is only if you're going to be cutting, you know, pages in bulk. I would definitely recommend investing in one of these. I tried like 4 times to cut it by hand, and that was all my first samples of the notepads. And I said no immediately. I was like, immediately no, I can't do it. I don't have the patience for it, but it's possible. Okay. Now, that being said, this was a $200 cutting machine. It is really, really great. I definitely recommend it, especially if you want to get into stationery. I'm going to show you all the different angles of what I look for to get the cleanest cut possible. Quick little overview of the machine and how it works. This little knob right here loosens and tightens, and you can move this, okay, all along the machine like this, to use as a guide for your cut. That's this bit here. This bit on this side will lower the pressure holder, or like the pressure foot. I don't know what it would be called, but this little piece here holds down the paper while it cuts so that none of it moves. So that's what this does here. This little lever, this little spindle, whatever you want to call it, that's what this does. There's 3 pretty much main components of this machine. This was 1, this was 2, and this here is 3. So this is the blade, and it just goes up and down. If you push it back all the way, it will lock right here, and you won't be able to move it until you push this piece here, and it will go back down. If you are thinking about getting one, that's kind of what we're working with. Now let me show you how I set up the machine. First thing I'm gonna do is cut down the middle. Now, again, I put these guides here to let me know where the middle is. If you have a design that will very clearly distinguish the two different sides, that is not necessary. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I just want to say it again because it won't be necessary. You can totally see where that middle line is. As you can see, my design is just like a light pink border, and I'm not going to be able to tell where that dividing line is. So that is why I put the guides. I put one up here and I put one down here for that very reason. Again, the gray border, not necessary if you have a darker color. This is just for me to see where I need to cut because that pink is so light, it blends in with the white background. So just wanted to say that again, not necessary. The first thing I'm gonna do is lift the machine, the little presser foot here, and I'm gonna slide in my paper. And now I'm going to move this over. Before I lock this, I'm going to pull my blade down just enough. I'm not going to put any pressure on it, just enough to see where that cut is going to start. As you can see here, as you can see, the blade is starting right here, and my black line, my guide, is right there. So we need to push this back. I'm going to lift up, and I'm going to push this black piece a little bit back, kind of line it up. Right now we're not doing any tightening of any of the pieces. We're just simply lining up that black line with our blade. And again, just kind of play around with it, slide it. That still is a little bit off, so I'm just gonna keep doing that. Okay, so it's very hard to tell, but you can see now if I push back on this, you can see that that black line is right underneath my blade. So what I'm going to do on this side here, I'm going to look for the line on the ruler that it falls on. This is really important for getting a super clean cut. So right here would be the position that I want to lock this in. I'm going to pay very close attention to what little line this is sitting on. This is super important for lining this up straight. If you don't line this up straight, you can get uneven corners, so pay attention. It looks like it's hitting exactly at this half mark right here. So what I'm going to do is line it up as best as I can. Once you see that it's straight, so that looks straight to me, put pressure on this piece as you tighten this knob so that it prevents this from moving over. Okay, so I've tightened that pretty well. Okay, so now once that's tightened in, this is not going to move. This is stuck here. So now I'm going to put my paper back in, and now this is going to be the border. So the paper can't move anymore. So I'm going to line up my paper as best as I can. I am not putting pressure on this side here. I'm simply tapping it to align it as best as I can here. What happens if you put too much pressure? This center can bulge. That happened to me a couple times. You just want to line that paper up evenly from top to bottom. Push up on both sides here too. Make sure it's all nice and stacked evenly. Now the next step is to tighten this little lever here. So again, this is going to push down this like presser foot here and prevent the paper from moving now that it's all nice and lined up. Not too tight because again, that can cause some bulging. Just enough so that it's stiff and it's not going to move. So now this is ready to cut, and again, I like to just double check one more time that that black line is aligned with the blade, and that looks pretty spot on. So we're gonna go ahead and cut this now. So I'm just gonna go ahead and press just like that. And now this half here is gonna be one notepad. This part is optional now. If you want to cut each individual notepad by itself, you totally can. These halves will each be one notepad. Or what you can do is stack them. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to do them separately. But what you would do if you do want to stack them, you're going to take one side and flip it so that this thick piece of course is going to line up with this piece. And all you would do, don't move your chipboard because that's how you're going to tell later on that this is one notepad, this is the other. And what you would do is just stack them. And this is how you would cut them from now on. I wouldn't recommend doing this until you get the hang of it. That's also kind of why I still like to cut them individually. Now we're going to go in and cut, let's do this long piece here. So we're going to do the same thing all over again. Unscrew this. Lift my blade here and just kind of go based off of how that how this blade is lining up with the where you need to cut. That's kind of what I do. So again, I'm hovering the blade. Get a little lower if you want. And I'm moving that over. And right there, I can see that that is going to clear. That will definitely clear the gray right there. So that looks good to me. And I'm checking on this side again to see where here. So I'm tightening that up. So now that I've got it how I want it, again, just tap. Make sure that it's lining up from top to bottom all along this. So sometimes if you don't do this step, you can get something like this where the top is touching, but this bottom has a gap, and that's going to cause for uneven cuts. And as you can see, it is now lined up. And you can also tap the bottom like this very gently. You don't need to put any pressure here. Once you've got it all nice and even, go ahead and tighten the little lever here. Just going to lower that down. Now it's ready to cut. So we're going to go ahead and just quick cut like this and unscrew. And you can see that the edges are nice and clean, and that cut looks really, really good. Now let's go ahead and do the top and bottom. And again, we're just repeating the same process all over. And again, I'm just going off what I see with the blade. That looks good to me. Let's go ahead and lock that in. Just really quick, you can see here, I am lining that up one little line right behind that 21. Okay, so that's ready to cut. Let's go ahead and chop this off. Look how clean that comes out, you guys. And last side, let's go ahead and load this in. Unscrew this. Push this a teeny bit. Let's see what that's looking like. Teeny bit more. That looks pretty good to me. All right. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. Tighten that up and cut. That was a super, super clean cut. Super, super clean. So our notepad is ready, you guys. Look at all the different clean sides that we have here. I mean, that is pretty spot on. Paying attention to the little millimeters here has helped me so much, and making sure that this is straight. That's like my two biggest tips so far. And you can see from the front, little like pink borders are pretty even and precise. If you really look at it, it might be like the tiniest bit uneven. It can't always be 100% perfect, but for the most part, you could hardly tell. And on the back here is our chipboard. It is cut perfect to size because we cut it all together. All right, you guys, so now we're gonna go ahead and start gluing our notepads. And for this, I am going to be stacking them to glue them together because it will take a lot less time. You can do them individually though, but I just prefer to do them stacked. Less work for me. So what I'm going to do is just line them up as best as I can. What you're looking for is just that all the edges are flat. There's no like singular paper sticking out or anything like that. And now I'm going to need 2 binder clips for this, and any scrap piece of like a hard paper. This is just cardstock paper, just to protect the notepads from getting indented or anything like that. I'm just going to wrap it around and take my binder clip. This one might be a little too small. No, it fits perfect. And put it on there just like that. I'm just going to do the same thing to the other side. Be careful here, because if you like kind of squeeze it together too tight, this can bulge right here. It can create kind of like a little dip like that. I don't know if you can see. Make sure it's like as flat as possible. Be careful not to pop the center up like this because you'll get a curve. This size binder clip is a little too tight, but it still works. But there's tons of different sizes. The one I have linked on Amazon has a bunch of different sizes depending on your needs. And you can see laying it flat. There's no bump in the center or anything like that. It's laying nice and flat, and there's no bulging. We're gonna go ahead and apply some Mod Podge to this end right here. This is the Mod Podge. If you don't want to buy it on Amazon, it's also available at your local craft store. So probably Michael's has it. I know Target has it. A lot of places carry this. Staples. So just go ahead and get you some Mod Podge, and then we're gonna use a brush. This is the only brush I have right now. This is huge. You don't need to use this big of a brush. Also all glued together, so just be careful, but it still works. It's fine. Apply some of the Mod Podge on here. And just be careful not to pack it too much, because then it can spill over on the sides and get onto the front of the notepad, even though it's like pretty much clear, just to avoid any staining or anything like that. Make sure to really focus on the corners of each side, and then if there's any excess, you can just use your finger and smooth it out on the top. This is kind of what you're looking for. Again, you don't need to pack it on there. It will seep into the pages and stick them together. So this is perfect. A little bit goes a long way for this. And now we're just going to leave this to dry. It honestly doesn't take that long. After like 15-20 minutes, this should be ready to go. Just test it by the touch and you'll know that it's dry or not. So we're going to leave this to dry and I'll come back once it's ready. The glue is about 90% dry, I'd say. It's still a teeny bit tacky to the touch, but nothing too crazy. I'm going to take it out now. You can wait a little bit longer if you feel safer, but this should be fine. It's pretty on there. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off. So here is our notepad all completed. It came out super good. All the sides look pretty even. Everything looks super stacked. I'm really happy with how it came out. This is a 5x8 notepad, but I've also made notepads like this. I believe this is 3.5 by 10. And so you can apply this tutorial to any size notepad that you want to make. It's the same principle. You're just going to be changing up the size. And if you have any questions about anything in this video, also feel free to leave them in the comments down below. And let me know if you guys found this helpful and if you want to see more tutorials like this. And if you guys are interested in my notepad specifically, I am having a launch soon for these. They're not currently available. They will be available on August 8th at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time if you guys are interested in supporting me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on your post notifications so you never miss a video. And make sure to check out my TikTok and Instagram for more content, and I will see you in the next one.